What if there was an AI that didn't just chat with you, but could actually do your work for you? One that essentially could be treated like a real employee sitting right next to you at your desk, knocking things off your to-do list, organizing your files, browsing the web, even drafting replies to your emails 24/7. Well, if that's what you're looking for when it comes to AI, then you need to learn how to use Claude Cowork. This is Claude Cowork right here, and this isn't like your typical AI chatbot. Other chatbots like ChatGPT, the way most people use them is they chat with them about work. But at the end of the day, the user is the one who ends up having to actually do the work. But with Claude Cowork, the AI is able to work alongside you on the same projects that you're already working on. And now it can even do all of that work without you even needing to tell it to. Right now, the only place to access Claude Cowork is through the Claude desktop app, but luckily there is now a version for both Mac and Windows. To find this, just search on Google for Claude desktop app. It should be the top result, and you can come in here and download it. Once you have the app installed and you're logged in, this is what it's going to look like. And the first thing I want to point out are these three tabs up here at the top: Chat, Cowork, and Code. You can kind of think of these as beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Chat is just like the regular chat that you can access on the web, so you can talk with the Claude model. Code, we are not going to be talking about today, but this allows you to use Claude inside of your terminal. It unlocks a lot of different capabilities, but it is much more advanced for a lot of users. So today we are sticking with Cowork. And immediately when you switch to Cowork, one difference you're going to notice is this drop down right here that says work in a folder. Because at its core, what makes Claude Cowork very unique is that it's able to work with files that are directly on your computer. So for example, here on my computer, I have a folder that contains a lot of different images of receipts, and it's not very well organized. What I could do is open up ChatGPT and drag all of these into it and ask ChatGPT to organize them for me. But because they're already on my desktop, I can just point Claude Cowork to this folder and have it work directly on the files inside this folder on my computer. To do that inside of Claude Cowork is very easy. On this drop down right here that says work in a folder, if you click on this and then click choose a different folder, that will then bring up this window where you can choose what folder you want Cowork to have access to. In this case, I'm going to choose the receipts folder and click on open. Because Cowork can access files directly on your computer, there are guardrails built in to help protect you, and this is one of them. You can choose if you only want to allow Cowork to be able to access this folder this time, or you can click always allow. That way, every time you select that folder, it doesn't pop up this message again. I will click on always allow. Now you see right here the name of the folder I selected, which is called receipts. Now I can just tell Claude what I want it to do with the files inside that folder. Here's what I'll tell it. First, go through all of these files and determine if they are business or personal purchases, and categorize them into separate folders accordingly. For the business purchases, group them into subfolders by year and then by type of expense, and rename all the files with a consistent naming structure so it's clear at a glance what the receipt is for. Now that's a good start, but I want Cowork to do a little bit more with these files as well. So I'm going to tell it, once you are done with that, create a spreadsheet that has all the business expenses listed on it, the amount, where the receipt is from, and the potential category for QuickBooks Online. Now, notice that this is a very long request with lots of steps involved. And this is another thing that Cowork really excels at. It can handle complex multi-step requests with minimal input and clarity from you. On submitting this, Cowork usually first plans out what it's going to do. You may see this pop up again. Again, we're dealing with some guardrails, so I'm going to allow this. And then it's getting to work actually planning it out. Over here on the right, we can see the to-do list that it created for itself. First, it's going to read and analyze all the images. Then it's going to categorize them, create the structures, build out an expense spreadsheet, and then list everything in that spreadsheet accurately. Further down, you'll notice this area right here. This shows you all the files that Cowork is accessing to be able to run this task. Coming into the chat, we can click on this drop down right here and see what it's actually doing. So right now it's actually reading through all of the receipts. We can see it working through them right here, and it is summarizing them. Now, normally this is all hidden from the user with this drop down. So you will just end up seeing the end results and what it's doing as it's going through the to-do list. But it is interesting to click on this down arrow and kind of see the inner thinking of what Cowork is doing. And then as Cowork goes along, we can see up here on the top right, it's actually crossing things off its own to-do list. So now it has already categorized the receipts as business or personal and is creating the folder structure. Moving along, Cowork is now done with all the folders and moving files, and it is now building out the spreadsheet. And down here, we can see something new. Underneath context, it says skills. So context basically tells you what skills or different connectors Claude Cowork is using when it's executing your task. We'll talk more about that later, but I just wanted to point it out for you now so you understand what everything on the right here means. And in this case, the skill it's using is a skill that enables it to create and update spreadsheets. But at the end of the day, if you want to make this as easy as possible, don't worry about what it's doing on these different dropdowns. Don't worry about what context or skills it's using or what files it's accessing. The only thing I think is super helpful for most users is the progress section up here, so you can see exactly what it's doing and what step it's on. Great, it is now finished, and we can see over here on the left exactly what it did. So let's open up our folder and see what it did. So first thing you'll notice is that there's a new subfolder in here called business. And then within that, there are the different years that we have receipts for. Right here, you'll notice that we have all of the original receipts untouched. This is another guardrail in place. In case Cowork really messed up, the original files are still here untouched. I can delete them if I'm happy with what Cowork did, but what Cowork did was it copied those files and put them into the new folders with the new names. Coming in here, we can see under 2023, for instance, we have categories for equipment, office supplies, and software and travel. And in here, we can see the receipts for each of these, and this looks to be completely accurate. So since I'm happy with this, I can now delete all of the original receipts. And now we just have all of these neatly organized with better file names. You'll also notice right here our new spreadsheet. Let me open this up. So here's what we have, everything neatly organized into this spreadsheet by different categories and year. And it even took things one step further and actually put the file name for each of the receipts so it's easier to find. There are also some notes down here as well. This is actually way beyond what I thought it would do. So here I have an expense for a $1,300 camera, and under notes it says this may qualify for a Section 179 deduction. So now it's actually giving me tax advice as well. And then coming down here, we can see all of the different totals as well. And this now lives on my computer. So closing this out, again, the file is inside my folder right here. So it doesn't live in a cloud somewhere. It isn't like in some canvas or artifact that I then have to download and save to my desktop. It's already on my computer. And the best part is once Cowork does a task like this for you once, you never have to tell Cowork to do it again. Because now what I'll do is I'll set this up on a schedule. Let's say every month, I want Cowork to actually go through that same folder and look for any new receipts and categorize them. So I will tell it, every month on the first of each month, go through the same folder and categorize all new receipts the same way. Don't save the old ones like you did this time. Move the receipt, rename it, and update the spreadsheet. And then it will show you the proposed scheduled task. It says organize new receipts in the receipts folder on the first of each month, move them, rename them, categorize them, and update the QuickBooks spreadsheet. If I'm happy with that, I can click on schedule. And now on the first of each month, that will be done for me automatically. I never have to do it ever again. I could just take pictures on my phone, dump them into my folder, and Cowork takes care of the rest. So far, we've been working with files on our computer, but Cowork gets even more powerful when you start adding connectors. They allow Cowork to look at and sometimes even write to a lot of third-party tools. To access them, you want to click on the left here where it says Customize. Then click where it says Connectors. If you already have some connectors added, you'll see them right here. But to add your first one, you can click on this plus icon and click on Browse Connectors. From here, you can see all the different connectors that are available. And as you can see, there are a lot of them. Some of the most popular ones are Gmail, Google Calendar, Notion, Canva, and Google Drive is in here as well somewhere. If you can't find one, just go ahead and search. I'll search for Drive, and there it is right there. Adding any of these is very easy. Let's say I want Cowork to be able to connect up with Google Drive. All I have to do is click on plus to connect. That will then bring me over to Google to actually establish the connection. I'll click through, click on continue, give it permission, continue again, and return back to the desktop app. Let me show you what connected apps unlock because it can become very powerful. One of my favorite connectors is with Gmail because with a very simple system, Cowork paired with Gmail can become your personal executive assistant. Here's how this works in a nutshell. What we're going to do is we are going to create a system where Cowork actually understands exactly how you answer your different emails, and it will then be able to draft replies for you for all the emails in your inbox. To get started with this, you will need to create a new folder. Whenever you are starting a new task, as they call it in Cowork, you always need to remember to choose the right folder that you want Cowork to work inside of. Once you use a folder, it will appear here next time under Recents. So for instance, under Recents, we see Receipts, which we just worked in, but you can always choose a different one by clicking right here where it says choose a different folder. You can think of these folders as self-contained projects. Cowork will only have access to the folder that you choose for that session, and it will only have access to the files that are in that folder. What I will choose here is a new folder because this is a brand new project that I've never worked on before with Claude Cowork. Now I want to choose where I'm going to create this new folder. In this case, I'm just going to put it on my desktop and I'll click on New Folder and I'll call this one simply Emails. So this is our project area that Cowork is now going to be working inside of. And unlike last time, there are no files in here, and that's okay because Cowork can create files that it's going to put in here. I'll click on Open, and for this, I'll select Always Allow, and you'll see right here that we now have the Emails folder selected. Now, I will tell Cowork this. Go through my emails in Gmail from the last 30 days. I want you to understand what types of emails I respond to, what types of emails I ignore, the tone of voice and language I use in my emails, and from that, create a guide that you can reference to draft emails for me in my voice. Also, I want you to create a file that contains all of my most frequently emailed contacts that will sort of act as a mini CRM that will contain information about who that person is and what kind of conversations and projects we've worked on together in the past. Now, submitting that, Cowork will then get to work. But instead of looking at files on my computer, it is now looking through all of my emails from the past 30 days. It is now complete, so let's take a look at what it did. We can of course look at the progress over here on the right, but let's just go directly to the folder and see what it created. So here's the new folder that it created for us. And opening this up, we see two different documents that it created. The first one is called Paul Email Voice Guide. So this shows exactly how I reply to all of my emails and my tone of voice and styling. And the next file shows my mini CRM, as I called it, which has all of my most frequently contacted contacts and our relationship and what we've worked on in the past. Now, what's interesting about these files is that these files are for Cowork. They're not for you. This will enable Cowork to actually be able to answer emails for you in the future with your exact tone of voice and be able to understand who you frequently talk to. And it can kind of update the CRM as time goes on to track different relationships. So let's give that a try. I will start a new task and I'll make sure that the folder called Emails is selected. And I will tell Cowork look at all the emails that are still in my inbox, and draft replies for them inside of Gmail. For the sake of brevity, I won't show you everything that Cowork just did and all the steps. It's the same process, but this is the end result. I'm here on Gmail and it actually drafted an email for me inside of my email drafts. I didn't need to copy this from Cowork and paste it over. It just automatically created this for me. So every morning I could just come in here, read through the reply that was drafted, and if I'm happy with it, click send, or first make some changes and then click send. And once again, like before, I can set this up on a schedule. Maybe I'll set it to run at 5 a.m. every day, so when I wake up, all the replies are drafted for my emails, ready for my approval. Before I show you some of the other incredible things that you can do with Cowork, let's hear from today's sponsor, i10x. i10x is an all-in-one platform that gives you access to all the top AI models in one place. Here, I'm inside the i10x chat, and you can see that I can choose between GPT-5, Gemini 3 Pro, Gemini 2.5 Pro, Grok 4, Claude Sonnet, DeepSeek, and GLM 4.7. So you no longer have to switch between different tools to be able to access all the best models. In addition to that, you get access to AI image generation using models like GPT Image 1.5, Nano Banana Pro, and GPT Image 1. And we have AI video generation as well using Sora 2, Kling 1.6, and Google Veo 3.1. If you're never sure which AI model to go with, go and try Chat Arena. This allows you to pit two models against each other. Here on the left, I have GPT-5 Mini. On the right, I have Grok 4.1 Fast. I can put in one prompt, look at both results, and pick which one I like better. i10x starts at just $8 a month if you go with annual billing. That gives you 5,000 uses of the basic models and 200 uses of the advanced models. But for just $17.50 a month, you get unlimited use of both the basic and the advanced models for just one low monthly cost. If you want to try it out for yourself, I'll have a link in the description down below, along with a coupon code so you can get an additional discount. And thank you, i10x, for sponsoring this video. One of the most wild use cases for Cowork, though, is its ability to actually navigate the web for you. What you want to do to enable this is add the Chrome extension that is created by Claude. You can just search for Claude Chrome extension, should be the top result, edit, and make sure you sign in. Once you do that, you can come over to Cowork and tell it to navigate the web for you. I'll show you a real example of how I use this. So I will select the folder that I created called Research, and I will tell Cowork, navigate through my Google Chrome and go to Twitter. I want you to scroll through my Twitter feed and see what's trending. And from that, come up with some ideas for videos I can make on YouTube. Then it will open Chrome for you and begin getting to work. So here we can see it navigated to Twitter and is scrolling through. And you'll notice that it's sort of surrounded by this orange. That lets you know that Claude is working in this tab. And here we can see the results that it came up with, what's trending and buzzing, and some YouTube video ideas. And the reason I use this method over using like Grok, which has real-time access to Twitter, is because when Cowork goes to my Twitter feed, it's looking at my Twitter feed, all the people that I follow. It's my algorithm that is showing me all the things that I'm interested in. So it's really tailored to me. So these are the exact results that I want. Before you start using Cowork, there are a few things you should keep in mind. First is the pricing. Cowork is included with a Claude plan, and that starts at just $17 a month for Pro. This is the plan that I'm currently on, and I do have enough credits to be able to do all the things that I currently want to do with Cowork. But I know as I start to use it more, I'm going to hit my usage limits pretty quickly on this Pro plan. So if you're more of a power user that's going to be using this a lot, you may end up having to pay $100 a month for the max plan. But currently I'm getting a lot of usage out of the Pro plan. Second, everything is stored locally on your computer. So if you switch to a different device, your conversations and your files won't follow you unless your files are synced through something like iCloud. Third, this desktop app needs to stay open for your task to keep running. If you close it, the task is going to stop. And that also means that the scheduled tasks will not start unless your computer is on and you are logged in. And fourth, as of right now, Cowork doesn't have memory across different sessions. So each task starts fresh. So if I came into a new task here and said something like, hey, remember when you just helped me organize all my receipts? It's not going to know what I'm talking about, even if I have the receipts folder selected. There are ways around this by actually having Cowork set up its own memory, but that's a little bit more advanced and probably outside the scope of this already very long video. But if you guys did enjoy this video, I do have several advanced tips on how to use Cowork that I would love to share with you. If that interests you and you want an in-depth tutorial on how to do some of those more advanced things, let me know in the comments section down below, and I'd be happy to make that video if enough people are interested. But otherwise, you now have everything you need to start using Claude Cowork. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments section down below. I still read and respond to almost every single comment myself, and it's really what keeps me motivated to keep making videos just like this one. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you everyone who comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.